in this society that most people have, we'll just say been, birthed into, this legal system, it's very hard for the term grace to show up because when we look at legal society, it's civil society. It's all based on contract law. Legal citizenship comes with duties, debts, and obligations. So the concept of grace, something that's free, something that's a blessing, something that's a courtesy, a favor, it doesn't seem to have any embracement in the world of legal because it's always talking about money and contracting and paying for something. So when we look at even Paul's words in Romans 13 when he said, "Let every soul be subject to the higher powers, for there is no power but of God. The powers be ordained of God. Do what is right, receive favor, or do what is good, receive favor. Do what is evil, and they bear the sword against you." Now, what was he talking about there? Well, if do what is good, well, doing what is good would have to be something that would be truthful, something that would be in a manner that would benefit all involved, because it doesn't cost anything. It's just someone doing what is right. Now, when you look at do what is evil, and it says that they will bear the sword against you. Well, if you're bearing the title and claiming a title that's not yours and willing to do it for gain, and based on a licensing concept to break the law based on a license, we know that's totally contrary to everything that's scriptural. And so therefore the system that we are surrounded with as God's people is upside down, because they're doing everything contrary. God doesn't give you a license to break the law. So he tells you not to break the law. And we don't want to confuse, of course, law with legal, because the whole legal concept is based on using something that is granted to you, that comes with duties, debts, and obligations, and comes under a licensing concept. You don't need a license to be yourself. You certainly need the license to impersonate the title of another. And that's where the suretyship comes in, which he is surety for a stranger, or another will surely smart for it. And of course, the whole concept of Gentiles had no covenant with God. Therefore, they were not in knowledge of the true God, and therefore they would be in a contradiction to basically God's people. So bearing a title that says you're a Gentile with no covenant with God, that's based on the concept of legal fiction, should certainly wake you up to realize that you're basically bearing a lie, and you're paying the penalty for that lie. You will not pay a penalty for bearing truth, but you will pay a penalty for basically taking on the liability for something that is not truthful. So when we look at the word grace, in Noah Webster's 1828, it goes down a blessing, and then it says favor, goodwill, kindness, and then it says basically approximately the free unmerited love and favor of God. So you can't earn salvation in grace, free grace. Free grace was gifted to you. It's not a right, it's a favor, in that sense. So when Paul was saying be subject to the higher powers, he wasn't telling you to trespass on them, but he certainly told you what would happen and what would be demanded of you if you did actually enter into that arrangement. So it's to be subject to would be not to trespass on their property, not to take their title. And therefore, I think there's been a misunderstanding amongst Christian believers in the world of secularism, because that leads to legalization, and legalizing something that is spiritual is blasphemy, because there is no legalization of something truthful. You can't to bring it into that is actually to bring it into a merger of fiction and a lie. So we have to really look at these words, because they are spells and they are cast upon you by people of darkness. They basically communicate with their God, which is Satan, and therefore he is demanding of them their worship to him, which he coveted from the first creation of God. He wanted their worship. Therefore he induced basically a trespass into his world, which has now led man down the path that we're seeing right now. So we want to look at these words, but get as many dictionaries as you can. Look at how the words show up. Look at synonyms to these words so you can see how they basically may react with other words that are very close. That will help you understand that the language that you speak is extremely important, because you're either bearing true or true witness of the facts, or you're bearing false witness. And therefore, we don't want to be part of something that's basically not telling the truth from the source of life. We don't want to be part of the recreational world, the recreational world of those that are in entertainment of Satan.